Happy Thursday, people. Happy Thursday. So this is your EL 3.2 homework support. I'm just going to help you with homework tonight. And you are using this for pages 12 through 62 of the given. Again, this is pages 12 through 62 of the given. So what you're doing is we're building on what we did on Tuesday. So we're building off of EL 2.2, where we have our trait still, but the only thing you're doing now is that you are providing everything. So you're going to go in and find the evidence. You're going to decide what trait fits that character based on the evidence. And then I want you to annotate to show that you see the connection between the trait definition and the actual actions or descriptions in the evidence. All right? You're going to do it in paragraph form instead of doing it in the organizer. And this time you're going to bring two pieces of evidence. So whatever trait you decide to give for that character, you need two pieces of evidence for support. The two characters you're going to focus on will be Jonas or Lily, so you pick one. You have your 7 traits from Tuesday. But then I also want you to think about the new 7 traits that I gave you today. I'm going to show you that right now, which are here. So sensitive, compassionate, intelligent, stoic, mild-mannered, impulsive, and obedient. So make sure you define those first before choosing one for Lily or Jonas. All right? And again, you can choose any one of those and provide 2 pieces of evidence between pages 12 and 62. So all you're going to do is exactly what you see here. Side note before I go on, families, if you're sitting here watching the video with your child, if they do not have the sheet, I mean, granted they have it here, but they should have everything taped in. So if they weren't listening, if it's difficult for them to explain it back to you, if they don't have the sheet in front of them to kind of see, they need to take responsibility and accountability for that. All right? So the first paragraph that I have up here, this is from Tuesday. All right? And first thing I want to do is I want to just annotate keywords or phrases in my definition that I want to say has to show up or have to show up in my evidence. So punctilious means to be very careful about fine points of behavior. I'm going to do both of those. Now I'm doing an underline and a bracket, but you don't have to. You can do any annotation that you want. Again, annotations are like codes. So as long as when I get your paper and I can read clearly that everything underlined means the same thing or have some connection, everything in bracket means the same thing or have a connection, that's okay. As long as you are sticking to what your annotations mean, that's what matters. All right? So I'm going to start with this first sentence here. And it says that Jonas is described as someone who is careful about his language because he's seen a friend get in trouble for language mistakes. So careful seems to pop up again in the evidence. And then behavior, I'm going to say language. And I want to think about everything that has to do with behavior, whether it's good behavior, bad behavior, what can impact behavior. In this case, language can be something that can impact your behavior. All right? Next paragraph, because Jonas is careful about how he speaks. So when I'm pulling my keyword or phrase from the first evidence, I just want to do it again. So although you already pulled it out, so it sounds redundant, so you're saying it again, at least you're knowing or showing I see my connections. So careful should be underlined again, so I'm going to let you know. It keeps saying careful, I know that connects. How he speaks is what I mean by language, which is what I'm saying has an impact on behavior. And I'm saying that this will connect for me. And that's all I need. So now I'm going to do it again with my second piece of evidence. So here, Jonas is punctilious when he is described as noticing the similar eyes on a new child, but not mentioning them like Lily because it was considered rude to do so. Because Jonas made sure not to mention the eyes of the new child, it also shows that he is punctilious, which means very careful about fine points of behavior. We did it once here, do it again, very careful. And behavior. But what in my second piece of evidence also shows being very careful and also shows something connected to understanding behavior. And so in class, a lot of us brought up the fact that when you see not mentioning, a lot of people said that's like being careful. So when you don't mention something, it's because you're trying to be careful with your response or your reaction to something. And I thought that was really good. We also decided to bracket rude or considered rude, because we said to be rude, or to know that something is seen as rude, that may have an impact. Rudeness in itself is a behavior, but to see something as rude also impacts how you may behave. All right? And the second part, a lot of people made sure not to mention as another form of being careful. It is an extension of the first, so it does make sense. But then a lot of us also decided we would bracket that same sentence, because the same part of the sentence, because to make sure that you don't mention is also part of your behavior, because it's you making sure you don't do something that could be offensively rude. All right? And so just tying it back to the rude piece that we had there. And that's all you would need to do. What's your two pieces of evidence? Annotate both to show connection between evidence and the definition of your trait, and that's it. So again, you read at page 62. You define these traits here. Based on these traits and the traits from last week, how would you identify Jonas, or how would you identify Lily? Pick one character. And then find two moments in the text that support that trait and annotate it. Simple as that. Hopefully this works for you. Have a great break and see you on Tuesday.